Alright, in today's video, I'm going to try to do a beginner's guide for Senseiya Legend of Justice. Now, this video is mainly aimed at people who are starting out in the Japanese server. Basically, I've been playing on global for, I think, a year and a half now, maybe slightly more as well, like ever since the game first launched. Whereas the Japanese server has only started about, I think, 2 months back. Now, I started an account on the Japanese server as well, just to see how it is. And a lot of people have actually been asking me questions. There are some of the Japanese content creators who reach out to me. There are also the people in my guild who have been asking for my opinions on, which characters are good or not, because they know I have been playing on global versions. So rather than me trying to repeat answers to every single one of them, obviously I can't speak Japanese, so it's actually quite difficult to communicate as well. I decided to just make a quick video trying to show you guys exactly what's available globally, so that you know what to plan for. And also on the right hand side, you can see I have listed all of the upcoming characters that you can get from the golden arrow banner, and also the light and dark ones. And I have mentioned how many copies do I think you want to pull on them, so that you also have a rough idea of where to spend your resources as well. Now, obviously, this is aimed at the Japanese server players. However, if you are playing globally and you have only just started out in this game, this can potentially still be useful for you, because obviously I will still be talking about which characters are good or not, what are the things that you want to look out for, etc. So those are still very much valid. Obviously, the characters would have already been in the game, so you can't necessarily save resources for them. But still, it gives you a good indication of who to focus on as you start out on this game. Okay, so first of all, just a bit of background on the Japanese account, just to show you where I am. So I started on this game. I'm on day 26. So I think the game is 2 months old. So I am just under a month into the game. So I am still doing okay-ish in terms of the story progression. Still, I was classified still in the early games stages. Obviously, I haven't spent any money in this. So I'm just VIP 6, trying to level up the VIP through your normal, mission, etc. Wherever that is. Those VIP points, so I'm just trying to get that, to try to progress. I am on server, I think like 160 something. So obviously the Japanese game have a lot more people, so they have a lot more servers, and they open a lot more frequently as well. So I'm basically like 1 month behind those people who would have started when the game first launched. In terms of story progression, I am currently on chapter 1436, which is actually not bad considering I've only been playing for months. Obviously, this seems a bit slow compared to what I would be able to achieve on global, because global have a lot better characters who are, carry you much further into the game. But just purely from the Japanese server perspective, this is actually pretty decent, because I did watch a few videos by other Japanese content creators who have been covering the game from day one, and now have actually progressed further than them as well. I don't know whether they spend money or not, but I have actually been progressing further, despite the fact I have only been playing half of the time that they have been doing. So this is definitely still very good progression. In terms of the server ranking itself, I am number 12 in terms of story progression, probably similar, okay, a bit lower on the dimension ones. In terms of PvP, I am, oops, in terms of PvP, I am 17th in the server, so that's okay. In the cross server, obviously, I'm very, very low, but that's mainly because, I started 1 month later than everyone else, or later than a lot of the other characters, a lot of the other players. In terms of boss, I am number one. It has been very close with someone else, so I am still able to pip it to number one, but it's definitely a close match here. And yeah, so that's roughly where I am, which overall is pretty good considering I haven't spent any money in this game. Now, in terms of the characters, this is really the characters that you really want to focus on when you start off the game. You definitely want one copy of Sea Dragon Cannon. Now, on the Japanese server, for whatever reason, they already have multiple light and dark, rather than what we had at global originally. So they already have Sea Dragon Cannon, and also they lower the requirement for Star Whale as well. So Star Whale is only it's already unlocked at stage 10-14, whereas if you look at global, it's only unlocked at 1440. So obviously Japanese player have access to this a lot earlier. And basically what you want to do is you just want to go to Star Whale set your character to be Sea Dragon Cannon so that you can get at least one copy of him, and that's all you need. You don't need to level up any further, just one copy is going to be enough. So out of all of my character recommendations, I am just going to go through the list and point out which characters I think is worth going after. Anything which is Golden Arrow or Light and Dark, I will talk about them at a later time, later on in this video, when I actually talk about which ones to focus resources on. But yeah, you definitely want one copy of Sea Dragon Cannon. Then in terms of the Gold Knights, Deathmark, a lot of people recommend Deathmark for early game, but obviously I know from global, Deathmark fell off mid game very quickly. You can see I didn't even manage to get a copy of Deathmark, nor did I use my selection to get Deathmark either, because I know I don't need it. And you can see from my both story progression and also PvP that I am competing perfectly fine without using Deathmark, who is one of the best characters early on. But that's just my personal perspective, because I know eventually he is going to fail off, so I don't want to put my resources onto him. If you do want to invest in him, he's not a bad choice at all. It's just that eventually you will be replacing him. Now, so if outside of Deathmark, which other gold characters do I actually recommend? There are only three, to be honest. Like ignoring Sagittarius and also Virgo Shun, who I will cover in Golden Arrows. Outside of those, in terms of normal gold characters, there are only three that I recommend. One is Leo. You really need him in order to do a lot of the boss battle, and also he can be your main damage dealer early on in the game before you have other better options. The main thing you want is at least level 1 for his clothes. So level 1 for his clothes is kind of absolutely essential for him to do well in boss battle. So that's kind of what you want. Then the next one I recommend would be Moses. He is absolutely amazing in PvP. In story modes, he's not so much. Well, he's okay, he's not bad, but he really shines in PvP. And he is a character who just gets better as we move on to endgame. But all of the other gold characters kind of just fell off as we move towards endgame. But Arismu is one character who's always at the very top in this game. So that's definitely one of the best characters you can get. Then the last one I would recommend is Capricorn Shura. Capricorn Shura, you only need to be at 9-star, to be honest, mainly for his clothes at level 20. This is the absolute essential for you to do well in boss battle, and this is basically what I would suggest out of all of the gold characters. So basically just Leo, Arismu, and Capricorn Shura. Those are the only three you want to focus on out of the gold characters. In terms of silver characters, a lot of them can be used as food. So on that note, I would suggest don't worry too much about them. The only ones I would suggest you really building is gonna be one, Agate. Agate is absolutely amazing in PvE, and he is still one of the best character in PvE as you move towards later game, because in later game what you actually see is that you would be fighting. Okay, I can't show you here, but if I go into my dimensions, what you can see is you need to fill 4 different teams for PvE. And also I think in story progression right now I need 5 different teams. Is it 4 or 5? I can't remember now. But basically you need a lot of different teams, and Agate is still gonna be in one of my teams because of his own game mechanics, of the fact that he doesn't die. Absolutely essential in PvE, and this is something you really want. And then what you want to, so Agate is definitely one of the best silver knight for you to concentrate on. Then the next two I'll recommend is going to be Sirius and also Hound Asterion. Those two will be very much important for you even as you go towards endgame. Like they're not as good, they're not must have for you anymore as you move towards endgame, but out of all the silver knight, those two are probably the best. They work in both PvP and also in PvE. How that Asterion can also be very good in boss battle as well. So those two are definitely the best silver knights. So those three are the only ones I recommend you really focus on. Misty is a bit of a funny one. Misty falls off mid-game quite fast, so very similar to Deathmark. Misty also falls off quite fast. However, early game Misty is one of the best character in the game, and also when you go into your resonance, you normally want what you want to do is have one of each color, even though I didn't have one of each color. But normally what you want to do is you want to have one of each element. And Misty, out of all of the wind characters, he is the best one. So to be honest, so that's normally why you want him as well, so you kind of train him up. But just bear in mind that eventually you won't be using him anymore. So he is probably also going to be included. So Agate, Misty, Hound Asteria, and Sirius, those are the best four that you definitely want to actually level up, let's say. Then you have a few which are also honorable mentions, who I think I wouldn't suggest you to actually focus on them, but probably don't use them as food either. So that's the ones that you really want to just kind of keep in your box just for every now and then would be Moses, Sheena, and also Potomi. Those three are still very useful in very different scenarios on the global version. You won't be using them all the time, mainly for boss battle as well, like Moses, Sheena, and also Potomi. Those three you will be using for boss battle a lot of the times in different situations. So those three I would suggest still keep them, even though you won't be using them much. Anything else, just eat them as food. Oh, Alga is not bad either. Maybe you can also keep him in your box. But if you are really short on food, normally I tend up using him to level up my other characters, because what you realize is that fire and earth are definitely the best elements for you to go after, and that's normally what you want to do. So whenever you have those element stones, which I don't have any right now, I show you on global. Okay, I must have used them all. But basically this, right? Never spend it on anything which is water or wind. Always focus on fire and earth, especially in early on, beginning phase. Fire and earth characters are so much better early on, so definitely spend all of your resources on those if possible. Now, so those are the characters that you really want to do, and they will help you to go very far into both story maps and also in PvP. Now, right now, general rule of thumb. Now, for global, the general rule of thumb is that you want to fight enemies which are 5 times your level. So that basically means that you should be able to fight and clear stages till you reach this text, which basically says that you are not able to progress any further because you need to have at least a certain amount of power level. On global, it's always 5 times, and that's the highest you can go. And basically, when you hit those barriers, that basically means that you're actually doing very, very well in this game. You are progressing as fast as the game allows you to do. Now, for Japanese server, it's a lot harder because we're just starting out. You don't have as many good characters to help you to do that, and also a lot of time you don't have your clothes, you don't have your constellations yet, so it's a lot harder. So generally I would recommend 3 times your power level is probably what you want to aim for. So right now you can see I am facing an enemy which is 1500k, and my own power level is 563. So try to progress. Like if you are not at a stage where the enemy is around 3 times your power level, that normally means that there's still improvements that you can make in order to try to reach that stage on the Japanese server. And the best team that I personally found, and also what I'm using right now, is normally going to be this, or sometimes I'll switch out my Hound Asterion for my Capcom Shura. But yeah, this is probably okay. If I don't want to use any golden arrow character, either this or this. This you don't have the elemental advantage though, so probably this is what I would recommend as the best starting team for both PvP and also PvE. For PvP, I'll probably switch out this for Leo instead. So this is probably the most basic team that you should try to aim for both story maps and also for PvP. And the reason why this team works really well is that it has lots of control, which is the control ability, which allows you to push a lot further than what the story map is able to do. Basically, the whole way this team works is that you start off. Let me do it here so it's easier to explain. Actually no. Let me show you here. So you start off with Sirius, which have this ability which allow you to charge up Cosmo a lot quicker. Once you have this, what you can then notice is Hound Asterion's ultimate has the ability to silence. Your Agati has the ability which is to, I think, knock down opponents, and then your Sirius has the ability to daze someone, to stun someone. So because your Sirius is gonna give you starting Cosmo boost, what this normally means is that your characters are always gonna release ultimate or charge up their Cosmo before the enemy does. And because you have 3 ultimate skills, which is able to interrupt the enemy, what you can do is just rather than attack straight away, you just hold on to your Cosmo, hold on to your ultimate, and release it when the enemy is about to release your ultimate. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that just don't go into this battle. Let me see what I can try this here. But basically, what you want to do is rather than putting an auto, you don't. You wait, and let's see what I can actually show in real life. Because I'll be charging up a lot quicker than the enemy, what I can do is I don't actually attack straight away. I wait for this. You can see that Leo was about to attack. However, I then use the ultimate to interrupt him, and therefore I stop this. Oh, I missed that chance now. But you can see the Deathmouse was about to attack. I could have used my Hound at Steering to silence him and therefore interrupting his ultimate and give me another chance. Basically, this is something you want to do if you actually really want to push far in your story mode. So just rather than always playing an auto, you actually just take off auto to manually control when you use the ultimate skills on your Agati, on your Hound at Steering, and also on your Sirius. Let me see if I can show you again. So you can see I interrupted that. They are jumping up. Okay, my Honda Steering's Cosmo is not charged up. But if it's charged up, I would have them being able to interrupt potentially Arrows Move and also Desmo. And that's basically one way for you to cheat through a lot of the story maps. And that's why I am able to progress at a much faster pace than other people on my server. Like right now, you see I am only 12s here, which doesn't look very impressive. But if you look at the people who are above me, there are loads of like whales and VIP, very high VIP, who spend loads of money, and I'm still okay in comparison to them. Like, I'm not lagging behind too much. I'm only like 1.5 chapter behind them. So that's kind of why I'm able to do this, because I manually control my ultimates, etc. So this is something you definitely want to look out for. Now, moving on to the main thing. What are the upcoming characters? A lot of people ask me this. What resources do you want to save up for? Because in this game, what happens is there are 3 different types of banner. If I show you on global, what you can see is that you have the ones which are petal, which are used for light and dark characters. You have ones which are golden arrow, which are used for this kind of characters. And then you have golden shield, if I can find it. Golden Shield as well, which is used for another different kind of banners. Now for Golden Shield, I'm not going to talk through them because the Japanese server actually has done something slightly different, which is you already have loads of marinas. Normally Golden Shield are for marina characters, but because Japanese server already launched with loads of marina characters inside, I'm not sure how they're going to do this. And normally for Golden Shield, you don't normally actually end up pulling for the characters. You normally try to exchange for resources such as your Blood of God, or for your things like your constellation, or later on you also have those alliance. So that's normally what you want to do for the Golden Shield. Whereas for Golden Arrow and the Petal, so the light and dark, you actually do want to focus on them in order to figure out which characters you want to do. Now for most characters, there are various different things that you unlock at different levels, and that's kind of why it's really important for you to save up resources. So rather than trying to go for every single character, you want to make sure you upgrade them to high enough level so that you are then able to do something with them. So the first breakpoint for characters is going to be at level 9 or 9 star, because this is where you unlock clothes. So this is the first thing you want to do. And normally for you to do this, you need at least 4 copies. So which is why you can see here Virgo Shaw had 4 copies. That's essentially just to unlock his clothes. Then the next stage you really want to look out for is going to be his some character's constellation. So this is something that you really want to unlock. This is unlocked at level 11. So do I have anyone who is happen to be an 11 star? Yes. So you can see here, constellation, I can actually unlock constellation when he is at 11 star. Whereas if someone's less than 11 star, then you can see there isn't that constellation option for me. So I can't say see the constellation here. So that's one thing you need to look out for. At 11 star, you're able to do this. And then the next thing you want to look out for is a liar. A liar, you first unlock it at 12 star, but then eventually you unlock them all 5 of them at 14 star. So 12 star to 14 star is normally another sweet spot for you to upgrade your characters to, because then you unlock more functionality onto them. Any characters which are more than 14 star, normally you're only getting benefits from just raw stats. So that's normally, I mean, for some characters, I still recommend them, but for a lot of light and dark characters, I do not recommend going after 14 star, because eventually, if you get any more copies, the value, incremental value they give you is not going to be as good. Okay, so this is kind of the main thing you want to look out for. Now, in terms of, before moving on to the knights, I'm also going to talk about the main resources you want in this game. So equipment wise, eventually you would just end up getting Omega 3, but that's still going to be quite far time away on Japanese servers. I'm not going to talk about them. But basically what you can see is first of all, there's 3 basic kind of resources, which is your experience, your gold, and also your magic stone. Those are the 3 which are kind of the ones which you need in order to level up your characters, etc. Now, for Japanese players, what you may see right now is that you are lacking a lot of the magic stones, because for you to actually level them up any further, well, actually I'll reach my limit, but for you to level them up any further, it requires a lot of magic stone, and that is going to be the case for a very, very long time. You will always be short on magic stone, and you always have a surplus of those experience. However, eventually, once you move to around level 400 or 450 onwards, what you then notice is actually you need a lot more experience. So you can see here, I need a lot more experience on my global account. If I actually then look at comparison, what you can see here is that I have loads of magic stone, right? I have absolutely loads of magic stone, but my experience is the one that I am really, really lacking. Because if you look at experience, it's actually what's preventing me from leveling up any further. So that's basically something you want to bear in mind, which is that do not always think that magic stone is the most important thing for you. Actually, a lot of time later on, it's going to be experiences for you. Then what other resources do you want to go for? Now, a lot of times there are, if you go into here, the tavern, basically what you can do is you can choose between, I mean, I can't choose that now because I already chose it, I think. Yeah, I already chose it, so I'm not able to do that. But basically you have the options for those 2 to either go for experience or blood of God, I believe, or you can go, no, I think it's magic stone or blood of God, or you can go for the constellation ops or the experiences. Trust me on this, you definitely want to pick the constellation and the magic stone. That's just much better for you in the long run, because for like you can see how much experience I need. So whatever experience you're getting from here just doesn't really scale as we move towards endgame, whereas those blood of God or those constellations, the value of them are always going to be the same no matter how much further you progress. So if you really want to, you feel really short of, resources, you can potentially choose magic stone or experience for the first 1 or 2 months, but afterwards definitely want to switch it to blood of God and also the constellations. So that's kind of the main thing you want to look out for. And likewise, when you get any events where you can choose what to redeem, the ones that you always want to focus on is going to be your constellation. This one, which is for Elias, I mean, this is not something you're going to unlock anytime soon. I think you need to be at chapter 22 in order to even unlock this, but that's something you definitely want to prepare for. And then I'm just going to show you what is a liar. A liar is basically those cards which give you additional benefits and additional stats. They come from this, so that's kind of why you want to prepare well in advance for them. Let me just change this back. This is what you want for the if you do happen to see the blood of God as well, that's also okay. But the other one, which is always a safe choice, is going to be anything which is like star will, etc. Because you always need a lot of them as well. So this is what I recommend for any kind of resources. Same thing for exchange. Do not go for any knights. There's just no point. You can get them elsewhere. A lot of time as you move towards once you're in endgame, all of those knights, extra characters, they're just absolutely useless. And also a lot of time, if you're actually playing this game correctly, your progression in story map is actually stopped by your power level, not actually necessarily by how strong are your characters. Obviously, if your characters are stronger, your power level will be stronger as well. But it's not the thing that's going to change your game the most. What you always want to do is I would avoid Magic Stone as well, even though you need them a lot. What I would always recommend is actually the likes of Blood of God, or once again the Constellation Orbs. This is also something you want to choose, and also this. This is always what you want to do. In fact, let me do this now. Change for Blood of God. That's so much better than the Magic Stone or whatever from long-term perspective. So those are kind of the resources you want to look out for. Now, the most important resource is obviously going to be the knights you want. Now, first of all, you normally want to, like I said, always focus on fire and earth, especially in the beginning stages of the game. Eventually, what you then also want to do is you want to put one of each element in your resonance. So that basically means it's easier for you to level up, because if you take a look at what I have right now, is that I can't level them up any further because they're not high enough star level. And if I have 3 Earth characters that I need to level up, that makes it me a lot harder to level them all up, because I need a lot of Earth characters in order to actually feed into them. So that's kind of why normally you want to do one of each, and then you have the last one remaining, because you need 5. The last one remaining is going to be either fire or earth, depending on what you want to go for. Personally, I recommend earth because Hound Asteria and Sirius are just very much essential for a very long period of game, and also very good for boss battle as well. So that's kind of why I do recommend going earth. So normally I recommend 1 water, 1 fire, 1 wind, 1 and 2 earth. That's normally what I'll put in resonance. Okay, now moving on to the main topic of today, which is kind of the golden arrow and the light and dark characters. So this is all the golden arrow characters that's gonna be coming up in the game. I believe this is the order they will release on global version, so hopefully that will also be the order they release on the Japanese servers, etc. I have then mentioned down here how many duplicates do you need for those characters. So for example, what I'm saying here is 0 for Sagittarius. What that basically means is that you want to skip Sagittarius completely, whereas if I have 4 here, that basically means you want to get at least 4 copies of Virgo Shun. And then that's basically what you want to do. Normally for Golden Arrow and also for Petal characters, the light and dark characters, they come back for 3 banners. So that's kind of why right now you can see here. If I go into here, I can actually change the characters if you want. It actually should be Liberasuro's banner, but I can choose the one before that as well. Normally you can do this for 3 banners consecutively, otherwise you don't be able to see them anymore. Now, as a result, and also you normally need 18 copies to actually max out a character, and that's normally gonna be normally you only get about 4 copies per banner if you're not paying any real money into it. So that's kind of why if you do actually want someone like Sagittarius Seiya, you actually need to save up and skip a lot of characters. And this is kind of what I recommend for you to get, which is you want to get 4 copies of Virgo Shun. You want to max out 4 copies of Virgo Shun because you want to unlock his clothes, especially level 30. It's very important. Then you want to max out Sagittarius Seiya as much as you can, because he will be your main damage dealer for a very, very long time. And then you want to put at least 10 copies into both Papillon Mule and also 10 copies into the Surplus Shun. The reason why you want 10 copies is because you want to unlock them at least at where are they? you want to at least go and unlock their first layer, and that's because they all have their exclusive layer, which is actually very important for them. But that's kind of why you want at least 10 copies, so you can get both of them to at least 12 star to unlock their layer. So this is what I would recommend for the golden arrows. Now, it's not to say any of the other characters are bad. They're not bad, but they are not as good in comparison, and also you can get them from elsewhere. So for example, one thing you always want to bear in mind is that do not pull on Sagittarius Iolus or Libra Shura or Phoenix Iki or Aquarius Huga, because you can actually get them from other events. Like if I go into this event, which comes every month, what you can see is that eventually I am actually able to choose characters such as Libra Shura, or I can choose characters such as Sagittarius, etc. So for those first 6 characters, you don't actually want to focus too much on them because you can actually get them at set periods every single month. Whereas for the last few, Liar of Fee, Papillon Mule, and also Surplus Shown, you can see they are not actually inside this. So it's actually, if you do want to spend a lot of golden arrows outside of Sagittarius and Virgo Shun, it's better for you to do them on the later characters rather than the earlier character. But that's something you want to also bear in mind for golden arrows. Then the next one, light and dark. This is very, very important because the resources for them are even more rare, and a lot of time they're even better. Now, the same with this is that first of all, you can see there are certain characters which are already in the game for the Japanese server. Now, once again, this is different to the way global was, so I don't know whether they will still come out or not. If they would not be coming out with those petals where you can actually pull on them, then the first one you are likely going to be seeing is either going to be Gemini Cannon or Poseidon. Now, I have also wrote how many copies I recommend for you to get off them. But you can also see a lot of occasions where I didn't actually mention number. Instead, I put this symbol, which is obviously the Divine Stone. And basically for those, what I mean is that those characters are really, really good. However, because you normally want to focus off your petals onto the best character in the game, those characters, I would argue that those are the characters that you want to build over long term rather than something you want to pull on them straight away. So they are still very good characters, do not get me wrong. If you are spending lots of real money into the game, then you can also choose to go under them. However, if you are completely free to play and not going to spend any money at all, then you definitely would not have enough resources to level everyone up. And that's kind of why I suggest only to focus on the ones which actually put a number on them. And once again, that's how many copies you need to get. So starting off Evil Sega, rubbish character. Also, you can actually get him eventually from this area of the shop. So that's definitely not someone you want to spend any resources on. Saga Light, Gemini Saga, very good character. This is a character still being used nowadays on the global version, but not as popular as before, but still used very commonly. I do recommend you to try to get him up as much as possible by using the Destiny Stones rather than any of the petals. Sea Dragon Cannon, as I mentioned before, you definitely want at least one copy. The reason why you want at least one copy is for his opening ability, and that's pretty much it. So one copy is enough. You do not need to get him anymore. He is actually available in the guild shop as well. So if you do really want to level him up, you can do it in the guild shop. Then what we have is Gemini Cannon. Gemini Cannon is a character who is very good. He is one of the best character in the game right now in PvP, at least in the meta, global meta right now. However, he's as a character who I feel is only very, very strong recently in the meta because the way he works is that he controls enemies at the front, and at the beginning of the game, there weren't too many characters who are very good at in the front row of your positioning because a lot of time you place tanks or support unit there and they're not as good. However, right now as the game progresses, you have lots of characters such as Seiya God Clothes or Iki God Clothes who you can actually place on the front row, and the value of Gemini Cannon has jumped massively right now in the PvP meta. So that's kind of why he is still very good, but this is not a character I would recommend spending your petals on. And that's kind of why I put this symbol, and this symbol is because you can buy him eventually in the shop with this kind of currency. So that's kind of why I do not recommend pulling him, but this is a character you do want to build up eventually. Then we have Sorrento, another pretty good character, not as good as Gemini Cannon, but once again, this is a character that you can actually buy from this event. So you can see I have loads of currency if I really want to buy him. And this is basically something you can choose to do. And as a result, it's not even worth spending your divine stones on him because you can just get him elsewhere in a different shop. Then we move on to Poseidon. Poseidon is possibly the first character that I would recommend you to pull, and I think he's a very good character that he works as just a single copy. But if he's only a single copy, you're just using him for his utility ability, which is the fact that he's immune to all damage. For this one, for his opening skill, immune to all damage for the first 5 seconds. That's still very useful, but ideally you want to get him to as high level as possible. The only thing I said 1 to 22 is all fine, is because he is going to be one of the first light and dark character. So I don't actually think it's very realistic for you to max him out straight away with 22 copies unless you actually spend lots of real money onto them. So that's kind of why I said 1 to 22 is all fine. If you want to be budget and save it more for his other future character, then 1 copy is actually going to be enough. But otherwise, you can go all the way to 22. Then we move on to Pandora. Very good character. However, same thing as Gemini Cannon, gets stronger kind of towards the end game, and it's not really worth for you to spend in the petals on. Radamanthus, I would suggest skipping altogether. You don't even need to spend any Divine Stone on him. Athena Gold very important for you to get at least 14 star for her Alaya. Her Alaya is actually very important because it synergizes with her skill, etc. So at least minimum 12 copies so that you can unlock her constellation. Her constellation is absolutely essential. But once the Alaya is out, ideally you want to be at 14 copies. So she's at 12 star so that you actually have her Alaya as well. Hypnos and Sanatos, very good character, but once again, I wouldn't put them as top tier in my opinion, and therefore I would suggest you just build them gradually, slowly from your divine star will to choose the character. For example, I can choose Hypnos if I want. Just don't try to actually use your petals to pull on them straight away. But they are still worth building in long term. Then you move on to Seiya Got Close, one of the best characters in the game. Deal crazy amount of boss damage. Also very good in PvP and PvE. Just good for everything. That's kind of what you really want to max him out as well. Then you have Shura Got Close. Recommend build him slowly over long term. He's not as good as the other God Close characters. Then you have Shun God Close. Shun God Close minimum 8 copies so that you can unlock his clothes. And then Hugo God Close minimum 14 copies so that you can unlock his Alaya so that you can actually equip this exclusive Alaya. So that's kind of why I said 8 to 22 or 14 to 22. But honestly, they're very good character. So that's why it's a good idea to max them out if you do have the resources. Then Minos, you can skip altogether. Iki Go Close works very well even at 1 copy. Like he can be one of the best characters in the game, even at just 1 copy. But obviously, ideally, he is worth building all the way to 22 copies as well. So completely max him out to 16 star. Then you have Leo Go Close and also Akias, I think that's his name. He only just been released in the game. So these are the other characters that you can potentially build over long term, but I wouldn't suggest pulling on them. And in fact, you can see this is basically what happens when you have a light and dark banner. Basically, you get first of all a 7-day login bonus where you get 1 copy for free. I hope that's the way it's going to be on the Japanese server, but that should be the way. And then you get this petal where you need to spend those petals, 60 pools, guarantee a character, very similar to Golden Arrow. And this is where you can then buy the petals as well. So you get 1 for free every single day for 5. Sorry, you get 5 for free every single day, and then you can also buy 10 copies or 10 petals every single day as well. So you can only get 15 per day. And that's kind of why you really want to save up your resources there. So, my only suggestion for you is definitely get at least 14 copies for Athena Gold Clothes, and 22 copies for Seiya Gold Clothes, 8 copies for Shun, 14 copies for Hugo, and at least 1 copy for both Poseidon and also for Iki. Normally at this point you should have some surplus, and for those surplus one, you just need to decide out of those 4 characters which one do you want to spend more resources on. Personally, I would probably suggest Poseidon or Hyuga probably. Iki is very good and Shun, they are very good, but they actually work very well even at low star. Whereas Poseidon and Hyuga actually need a bit more power behind them, so that I would probably personally recommend getting more copies onto those 2. But honestly, any of those 4, just try to level them up as much as you can if you do have the petals, and those are going to be very good choices. So yeah, so this is going to be my suggestion and kind of like a beginner guide for any players on the Japanese server. One thing I forgot to mention, obviously, if you're watching this, put on the Japanese subtitles on YouTube. Otherwise, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, hopefully this would have helped you. And if you have any questions, then do comment in the comment section below, and I will get back to you.